One of the things I joked with folks out in the lobby this morning was, and I rarely quote Mitch McConnell, but candidate quality is not a concern in Arvada. It never is, and it is one of the most civil atmospheres. I always enjoy these. Looking forward to getting to know a lot of you this morning. So this is the Ballots and Breakfast Candidate Forum. We really do appreciate you joining us for such an important conversation. It's wonderful to be back with you today. I want to start by recognizing the elected officials and dignitaries who have joined us here this morning. Please hold your applause. We have quite a few with us. City of Arvada Mayor Mark Williams, City Councilors Lisa Smith and Lauren Simpson are here. We have Arvada Fire Board member Bob Loveridge, Leah Dozman, Jefferson County Commissioners Leslie Dahlkemper and Tracy Kraft-Tharp, Jefferson County Coroner Annette Cannon, Jefferson County Treasurer Jerry DiTullio, Jefferson County Assessor Scott Kersgaard, Senators Rachel Zenzinger and Brittany Pedersen, Colorado State Representatives Lindsay Doherty and Brianna Titone. Lisa Cutter is also here. Let's give them all a round of applause for joining us. We're going to jump right in today. We have a packed agenda, basically combining a couple of these forums into one with our candidates. We're going to start with our county races today. We will then move to our state elections, and we'll close with elections at the federal level. It's important to note that all candidates were invited to attend the event. In a few cases, we only have one of the candidates joining us, or in a couple of them, no candidates were able to attend. For races where both candidates are here, we're going to start with opening remarks. Then we'll ask 3 questions, and there will be fire round questions to follow. We're going to keep time really, really tight. And so those without an opponent will only make remarks. Our friends from the chamber team will hold up a sign as you're approaching the end of your time. That'll be right up here. Samantha will hold that up for you. Additionally, we know this crowd is always respectful. We'll ask that you keep your comments, any cheers to yourself. We respect that all candidates have made a commitment to their community by running for office. We hope to honor that today. We're going to start with Jefferson County Commissioner's race. I'll invite Leslie Dahlkemper and Don Rozier to the stage. We'll do opening remarks in alphabetical order by last name. Leslie, you're going to kick us off from the podium. Don, you can join us, grab a seat on the stool, and as they make their way to the stage, can we give Katie and Samantha a round of applause for the work they did to set this up? We would thank Tammy Welch, but she's in Hawaii this morning, so, you know. Ms. Dahlkemper will allow you to kick things off. I believe both of these mics are hot, so I'll give you the podium and let you take it away for your opening remarks.
Well, hello everyone. I don't know if this mic is on. Is that on?
Okay, I'll switch with you. Thanks so much, Don. Because it's all about teamwork and collaboration in Jefferson County. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jefferson County Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper. I want to take a moment to thank the Arvada Chamber for hosting today's forum and for each of you for being here this morning and being engaged, well-informed voters. I'm running for a second term as your county commissioner. For those of you who don't know me, our family has called Jefferson County home for 27 years. We think it's a great place to raise a family, to start a business, or to retire. And so far, we're 2 for 3 on that list. As the gateway to the Rockies, Jefferson County offers so much. Majestic views, it offers vibrant downtowns like Old Town Arvada, and some of the most innovative and creative businesses from around the globe call Jefferson County home. Businesses in aviation, in aerospace, in beverage, the beverage area, and also outdoor recreation as well. But our local businesses are the backbone of our thriving economies. As your Jefferson County Commissioner, we've worked hard to attract new jobs, to streamline and make more efficient at the county level our business processes that you work with, whether it's permitting or more. I want to share one example with you. I'm watching time too, so you let me know. We are very excited about a new public-private partnership with NREL, with the state of Colorado, our county, as well as a number of businesses that work in renewable energy. How many of you know Camp George West, the minimum security? Okay, what you may not know is all of those inmates have been relocated to make room for this new global energy park, which is going to attract thousands of jobs to Jefferson County, have a positive ripple effect on our local economy, as well as position Jefferson County as a new global energy hub. bringing with it new green jobs as well. We want to make sure we diversify our portfolios of businesses as much as possible in Jefferson County. It's good to be with you this morning. I appreciate it. I'm asking for your support on November 8th. To learn more about what I've done for Jefferson County, the results I've delivered, I encourage you to visit dalkemperforjeffco.com. Thanks so much, everyone.
We're sharing mics today. Good morning, everyone. Did you happen to see the sunrise this morning? Spectacular, wasn't it? I want to begin my comments this morning by expressing my heartfelt condolences to the families of Officer Baykoff and Officer Beasley, and to the Arvada Police Department, to the community. It's been a really difficult 15 months. And I'm here to say that I support you, and I support the Arvada community. I'm Donald Roger. I'm a fifth-generation Coloradan. I was born and raised in Arvada. This is home for me. I went to school here. I met my wife here. I'm a professional civil engineer. I'm a small business owner. I am the husband to the same wonderful woman for the last 34 years. She's great. She puts up with me. As you notice, she's not here tonight. This morning. You know, I'm a former county commissioner, and I'm a vested community leader and a lacrosse coach. This community, I have deep roots in this community. In 2011, I was sworn in for my first term as county commissioner at the height of the recession. The county was dealing with an $18 million reduction in revenue and an increased need for services. Businesses were struggling and unemployment was increasing. I jumped in and got to work. Did I propose eliminating Tabor? No. Did I propose raising fees? No. Did I increase regulations on businesses? Not at all. Did we close down the county on Fridays? No way. Did we close down library operations? No. I did just the opposite. I implemented a first of its kind Jeffco economic development plan. We didn't have a plan before then. A plan that helped bring in new industry, new business to Jefferson County and created over 6,500 jobs in Jefferson County. I pushed for and received streamlined processes for county applications. We locked down fees, and in some cases we even lowered them. I implemented a zero-based budgeting process and saw the county eliminate millions in wasteful spending. We can do it. We did it then. We can do it now. DonaldRozier.com. I look for your support. Thank you.
All right, now we can sit. Get a little more comfortable. Okay, so we're going to ask the questions in the same order. Leslie will jump on the first one. Don, you'll have the second one, first bite at that. So, Ms. Dahlkemper, the concern about wildfires has become increasingly real for those of us in the metro area, obviously, given last year's event. What measures would you put in place to protect the people and properties in Jefferson County?
Many of you may know that wildfire risk is a #1 concern here in Jefferson County because we're the #1 most at-risk county in the entire state for wildfire risk. This is an issue that didn't happen overnight. It's an issue that has been a challenge for many years. So when I came in as your county commissioner, within my first year, we created the Wildfire Task Force because this hadn't been done before. This was a first ever opportunity to bring together more than 30 stakeholders with expertise in water, forestry, wildfire, and managing that risk to find common ground in terms of what's the county's role and how do we move this work forward. Since then, we've secured $8.1 million to help reduce wildfire risk, increase defensible space, improve our forest health, and I serve on the Colorado Fire Commission as well, so Jeffco has a voice at the state level.
Great. Same question for you, Don. Concern about
Gotta
wildfires?
share it, Leslie.
What measures would you put in place to protect the people and properties in Jefferson County as it relates to wildfires?
Well, as we know out there, it doesn't take millions of dollars in studies and expended time to know that we have an unhealthy forest system. We have an unhealthy open space system when you look at what is out there. When I was, my first term as Jefferson County Commissioner, in 2012, we had the Lower North Fork fire. And we lost 3 wonderful individuals in that fire. From there, I took an immediate action plan, and we formed the public-private partnership for the SLASH program. Many of you in this room have used that SLASH program. 27 different locations. That was a public-private partnership that we implemented immediately, and we need to expand that program. We need to look at bringing back more opportunities for business to be able to come in and to help maintain our forest system. Sorry, I saw that up the edge of my eye.
There's a stop sign that he sees out of the corner of his eye. Thank you for keeping it concise. We appreciate it. You'll have the first bite at this question. How will you navigate the growing budget challenges facing Jefferson County?
That's a great one. When I came in, as I mentioned in my opening comments, when I came in, we need to right-size government. We need to look at what our budget is, and we need to prioritize governmental services. We don't have an income problem, we have a spending problem. And when we look at what's there to prioritize, to look at the core operations of county and county government, we need to right-size that, zero-based budgeting, get rid of the waste, and go towards where those dollars need to be. I didn't have the stop sign popped up.
How about that? All right, Ms. Dahlkemper, same question to you. Navigating the growing budget challenges that face the county.
You bet. A couple of things I'd like to share with you. First and foremost, I believe the budget is more than just a bunch of numbers and dollar signs. It really is a moral document that says, here's what we value in Jefferson County. And those are essential core county services like protecting public safety, also looking at infrastructure and roads. I also want to share with you that this Board of County Commissioners has made public safety a priority, despite what you may have heard. We've banked more money to reopen the jail and increase staffing. We also increased salaries for deputies to help with recruitment and retention. My opponent, when he served as a Board of County Commissioner in 2014, voted against increases for our deputies. That's a critical component in recruiting and keeping deputies. As for fees, they've remained average compared to other counties, or they've gone down. Thank you.
All right, so first crack here for you, Leslie. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing Jefferson County, and what action will you take to help mitigate that challenge?
When I talk to businesses, one of the top issues that comes up is housing and affordability. Any guesses on which county is the 4th most expensive to live in? We're in it right now. In fact, a monthly one-bedroom apartment rent will set you back about $1,800. That's why we're working hard to allocate federal response and recovery funds to help with this issue of housing. We've also increased our portfolio of affordable housing, especially for aging adults, for veterans, working families, and even for young adults who are transitioning out of foster care. And I'm proud to say that Foothills Regional Authority is one of the top in the nation in terms of issuing emergency housing vouchers. That's really critical because those vouchers help people remain in their homes.
All right, so housing from Leslie. Don, what do you believe is the biggest challenge that's facing the county, and what will you do to mitigate it?
We have an overarching crime issue. We have a crime wave, some would say. Really, it's a crime tsunami that affects all of us here. It costs all of us thousands of dollars of what we're seeing. If you're a business owner, it affects you more. So when you look at the crime that is out there, looking at the position of some of our elected officials, this defund the police position that has been presented by county elected officials has got to stop. When you look at defunding of law enforcement and the closing down and just the overall morale issue it has, why would you want to be a sheriff's deputy in Jefferson County when you have elected officials saying, we don't like you, we don't trust you, we want to defund you?
All right, you'll have the first at the fire round question, Don. So the number one thing you hear when you talk to voters?
So since we get 3 words, it is inflation, frustration, crime.
That's it?
The local economy.
Okay. The local economy, well done. All right. Takes me a minute, I don't even open Excel. If you had a magic wand, what would you fix, Leslie?
Property.
Don, what would you fix with your magic wand?
The ability for people to listen and learn.
That was more than 3 words.
Listen and learn. There we go.
It's creative accounting, Leslie, you know it well.
Fuzzy math, my favorite kind. We know Cammy's in Hawaii, but what would be your dream vacation location, Don?
New Zealand.
Leslie?
Exploring Asia.
All right. Leslie, the last book you read?
The Chancellor, a bio about England.
Okay. And Don, last book you read?
I brought it. Never Split the Difference. It's by a FBI hostage negotiator.
Negotiator, yeah. His boss, okay. And Don, you'll have the first crack at this one. The most adventurous thing you have ever done?
I skydive.
Skydive. Okay, Leslie, top that.
Serving with Mayor Williams.
Good laugh line to close it out. Thank you both so much. We really do appreciate it. You can leave your mics on your stool. Thank you so much for committing your time and your efforts to Jefferson County. You're very welcome. All right, next up is our clerk and recorder. Amanda Gonzalez is here. Amanda has no one on the ballot here with us today, so we're going to offer her 2 minutes and 30 seconds for her remarks. Welcome to the stage. We'll let you, you can use either of these mics, and if you need some, there you go. The podium is yours. 2.5 minutes.
Hello, it's so good to see you all this morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm kind of a non-traditional candidate in that this is the first time that I have run for office. I was the first in my family to go to college and then law school. And my background is as a small business owner and also a nonprofit director of a nonpartisan voting rights advocacy organization. I've actually been fighting for my community since I was 8 years old. My first memory of doing Get Out the Vote was going lawn chair to lawn chair at a kid's football game to try and get people to vote for a school funding issue. Since then, I've come a long way. As a voting rights attorney, I was one of the co-authors on the bill that doubled the number of drop boxes in the state. I was one of the co-authors on the bill that created automatic voter registration. And in 2018 and 2020, I led the state's largest nonpartisan election protection effort. And I'm running because I want to protect the right to vote. I want to stand up to mis and disinformation. You know, democracy is the foundation of all other rights, and this is the office that oversees elections in Jefferson County. Whether you care about business regulation, healthcare, the environment, your vote is your voice. And I want to make sure that everybody has confidence in our elections. Whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or unaffiliated, our democracy only works when we all participate. I hope that we can work together. I hope that we can continue to have gold standard elections in Jefferson County and Colorado throughout the state. And I hope that I can earn your vote. Again, it's Amanda Gonzalez. I'm running for Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder. You can learn more about me at amandaforclerk.com. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Next up is the coroner candidate that we have with us today for 2.5 minutes. Please welcome Annette Cannon.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me here today. I'm Annette Cannon, and I'm your Jefferson County coroner. I've served the last 4 years as your coroner, and I'm a certified medical legal death investigator through the American Board of Medical Legal Death Investigators and the Colorado Coroners Association. I have an extensive background as an RN for 30 plus years. I've worked most departments, and including being a forensic psych nurse in the county jail, and as a psych nurse in the community, and as a nursing administrator, officer, and an educator. I have extensive medical education, including a master's degree in nursing, I have a master's degree in management, and I have a PhD in healthcare. I currently serve on the Governor's Colorado Standards and Training Board, the Commissioner's Assigned RETAC Board, and I'm a member of our Jeff Coast Suicide Prevention and substance use prevention teams, and I also serve on our child fatality review boards and our domestic violence fatality review boards. In the last 4 years, I've met my goals, ones that I've made for myself and for the office, and we are currently completing our office accreditation this month. I'm engaged every day in meeting the needs of the people of Jeffco for when they've lost a loved one, for providing comprehensive forensic investigations, or if they're in need of education about different topics, such as our opioid fentanyl issues, rates of death, or in participating in legislation to meet the needs and the mental health needs of the coroner staff. I'm working on the budget every day. We've made great strides with our office, including increases in pay and equity among the staff. I provide training to many agencies on a variety of public safety and public health topics. I also know that having a positive working relationship with the community areas that we serve really makes all the difference. In closing, I just want to thank you for your continued support, and just know that I love being your coroner. And I'm Annette Cannon, your Jefferson County coroner, and I'm running for re-election. Thank you.
All right, let's talk law enforcement for a moment. Jefferson County Sheriff candidates will make their way to the stage. Both Ed Brady and Reggie Marinelli will each have 2 minutes and 30 seconds for their opening, and then we'll go through the questions, 3 questions each, followed by the fire round. For those of you who are coming up, the fire round questions will be the same throughout, so you have an advantage being a little later in the day because you can think about that dream vacation location. We are sticking with the alphabetical order, so Ed Brady, who was obviously the first pick in the playground, because that's how we did things back then, A through M and then M through Z. So, Mr. Brady, here you go.
It's good to start at the beginning of the alphabet. Good morning, everyone. My name's Ed Brady. I'm a deputy chief at the Arvada Police Department, and I'm running to be your next sheriff. My wife Kathleen and I have raised our 4 kids here in Jeffco. A month ago, we became grandparents for the first time. Thanks. Kathleen's the principal in Jeffco schools. I've come up through the ranks of the Arvada Police Department over the last 28 years. Officer, detective, sergeant, commander, and now deputy chief, where I've led for the last 8 years. I've helped lead our agency through the Great Recession, officer-involved shootings, pandemic, 2 officer deaths, and staffing shortages. Did you know that our officers deal with 5 things every day on the road? They deal with people who are involved with drugs. Those people go out and steal cars. We had 37,000 cars stolen last year. It'll be almost 45,000 next year, 2 a day here in Arvada. They use those cars to commit other crimes like retail thefts, smash and grabs, and burglaries. We're seeing more guns in the hands of criminals, and almost without exception, we're seeing criminals with extensive criminal histories. Our officers are also dealing with the homeless community. In 2019, we had 2,500 calls for service regarding the homeless community. Last year, that was over 3,800. If you've ever thought about it, crime is a tax. Crime is a tax that costs this state $27 billion in 2020. That's an average of $4,700 per person here in Colorado. It's a tax that costs your businesses. Because when people don't want to go to Old Town Arvada, or go to Belmar, or go to Denver, they're going to shop online on Amazon, and that hurts our local community. I'm running for sheriff because this county needs a trusted law enforcement professional with the executive level experience to run the largest department in the county. I'm humbled and honored to have the endorsements of so many leaders throughout Jeffco, including our mayor here in Arvada, Westminster, and Lakewood, along with Sheriff Schrader and Sheriff Mee, and many other law enforcement professionals. I'm running for sheriff to keep this community safe, to protect our schools, our businesses, and our houses of worship, and to prepare us for the next wildland fire. You can learn more about me at bradyforsheriff.com. I've been in that seat many times over the years, so it's going to be fun to be up here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brady. Reggie, 2.5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here today and for hosting this. My name is Regina Marnelli. I go by the name of Reggie. I have been with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office for 36 years. That's longer than a lot of people have lived in Colorado. I was born and raised in Colorado, so I am a native, which is something unusual this day and age when you meet people. My 36 years with the Sheriff's Department, I have worked every single division.
I have actually held a leadership role in every single division. I've worked the jail, I've worked the street, I've worked criminal investigations. I am now currently overseeing over 200 volunteers that report to me in support services. In my tenure, I've also been the commander of the West Metro Drug Task Force. So I get both sides of the criminal aspect. In the West Metro Drug Task Force, it was our job to take down the cartels, put people away, put people in jail. And I will continue to do that. But I will also pay attention to those people that are in our jail that are addicted and take care of the addicted portion of our society. Who am I? I am a lieutenant right now. I currently teach for the state of Colorado. So I go to all the rural jurisdictions and teach law enforcement. I also teach on a national level. And I teach on behalf of a company that the Department of Justice hired. So I've gone all over the country in the last 12 years teaching. Part of what I teach is culture change. So when we talk about police, we need to reorganize what we're doing. We need to be in tune with society, and we need to change the law enforcement habits so that those meet what society is requesting of us. I have done that. Back in the early 90s, I was the expert and taught in our law enforcement academy. I was the domestic violence instructor when the laws changed. We had to go back and teach every single law enforcement officer how to change the way that they did things to the mandatory arrest standards that were set by the legislature and the governor at the time. I have gone nationally and taught culture change. That was my main goal and position when I was teaching nationally. So that's a little bit of who I am. I could go on. They don't give us enough time to where you can really get a good feel for who we are. But again, I'm Reggie Marnelli. You can look me up at marnelliforsheriff.com. Thank you.
All right, Q&A, 45 seconds for each answer, and we'll lead with Mr. Brady. What action will you take to improve the opioid crisis?
Well, drug enforcement hits home on a couple different levels. I was a narcotics detective for almost 5 years and saw the devastation that drugs can have on individuals. As an uncle, we lost our niece. She's been a missing person since 2007 after she got involved in meth. And fentanyl brings a whole new game because we're losing 2 people a day in this state. It's been baffling that the legislature and the governor would have decriminalized this and had to go back and correct it. From the sheriff's office, we can impact the supply side with enforcement. We can also help in the jail by helping people recover from their addictions, open up the veteran housing, the behavioral health units, to help people come back to the community in a better way than when they went into the jail.
All right, Reggie, same question. What action will you take to improve the opioid crisis?
For a long time, the drug crisis, any type of drug, is supply and demand. As a country and locally, we've always gone after the suppliers. It's time that we start looking at the people that are demanding it. Once we start working on the addictions and the mental health of our citizens, that demand is going to start dwindling, which thus will start dwindling that supply. Part of the problem with the drug crisis is when people go to our jail. 36 years ago, there were very few people coming into jail that were addicted. This day and age, there are very few that are not addicted. I started the behavioral health unit in our jail back in 2017. I intend to bring it back. It was stopped. That behavioral health unit brought in therapies for our veterans and also for our inmates, which I oversaw.
All right, Reggie, you'll have the first crack at this workforce-related question. We understand recruiting and retaining law enforcement officers is a growing concern for communities in Jefferson County, really around the state and country. What can we do to improve the situation?
Again, this is part of the culture. We need to go in and we need to think outside the box and fix things. We're recruiting the same way we always have, and that's not how we should be doing it. We should be going after our veterans. Those people are a hot commodity for law enforcement. They know how to train. They know how to continue that training and retain that training. We need to go after our young people and emphasize what is right in our community and how they can improve it. And right now, I can tell you that Broomfield is doing something that they started years ago that I think we should have done. But they take their officers that have their master's degrees and then they get them in the community colleges So now they're getting paid with the law enforcement. They're also getting paid to do a passion of teaching, and they're recruiting while they're doing that teaching. And so it wouldn't be beside me to maybe copy what Broomfield is doing.
No problem. Mr. Brady, recruiting and retaining law enforcement officers. How would you address this?
We are in a staffing crisis. In Arvada, we're down over 30 officers. In the county, I believe that's upwards of 50 or more. You know, the budget reductions in 2020 in the county, coupled with COVID, the defund the police movement, and the workforce crisis has all impacted staffing in law enforcement. I wish there was a magic answer, but I think we begin with a supportive environment of our officers, of our deputies, supporting their mission because they want to know that their work has meaning. And then also we have a aggressive recruiting campaign to attract a diverse workforce because this is an honorable profession. I know this city values it. I know the county values it. Now we just need to help potential applicants see that.
All right, and I believe you'll have the first crack at the final question for 45 seconds. The Sheriff's Department, not immune to county budget concerns. How will you navigate this to keep our community safe within the budget that you have?
Yeah, thank you. So, budget is an issue for any organization. I've been involved in the budgeting process in Arvada for almost 15 years. 7 years as a commander and 8 years as a deputy chief. I even helped navigate through the Great Recession back in 2009. You know, somebody said once that the budget is an expression of your love, and that's certainly the first love that the county commissioners have to have because public safety is job one. And not just funding it more than other departments, but fully funding it. So when we fund it, we can attract officers or deputies, we can open up the jail, we can respond quicker, and we can prepare for wildland fires. If we don't have that money, we'll certainly do our core services very well, but we're going to have to look to see where we reduce in other areas.
All right, how are you, Reggie, going to navigate the budget concerns to keep our community safe?
All right, since I do work for Jefferson County, I'm fully aware of what the budget is and how we have literally navigated that for 36 years. I've been a lieutenant since 2010, and so overseeing the budget and especially the drug task force budget where there's a lot of money coming in, things like that is not new to me. I've written budgets, I've written proposals, I've written policy, I've written contracts. One of the things I would like to look at is, it has been brought to my attention that El Paso County, which is a county that is very similar to us in size and in stature, runs their entire sheriff's department on an $80 million budget, which is significantly lower than what Jefferson County does. So I have people already looking into that to find out what it is that El Paso County is doing to be able to run a very similar sized organization on a very much smaller budget.
All right, we're going to go to the fire round questions. So, Reggie, you'll have the first crack at this. 3-word answers. Someone will be counting, not me. The number one thing you hear when you talk to voters?
Mental health, fire.
Yep, nailed it. Number one thing you hear when you talk to voters, Ed?
Crime and homelessness.
All right, if you had a magic wand, what would you fix?
Drug addiction.
Reggie, what would you fix?
Addiction, dependency.
Addiction and dependency. All right, Reggie, dream vacation location.
Italy to meet family.
All right. And to eat the food. Ed?
A Mediterranean cruise.
Yeah, both sound fantastic. Last book you read, Ed?
It's going to be more than 3 words. To Rescue a Republic, it was about Ulysses S. Grant.
Okay. So you found out who was buried in Grant's tomb. Reggie?
Leaders Eat Last by Simonson.
Sure. Okay, and the most adventurous thing you've done, Reggie?
My career and this campaign.
Fair answer, Ed.
Canoeing in the boundary waters of Minnesota.
All right, sounds like a lot of fun. We want to thank both of you for running and putting your name out there. Give them a round of applause. Next up, we have Jefferson County Treasurer. We'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds for remarks from Jerry Tillulio and Faye Griffin. And then we'll get into the Q&A topics and the fire round questions. Jerry will lead us off because it has the DI small at the front, right? So we're going to go with Jerry off for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. microphone should be on the stool.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jerry DiTullio, your Jefferson County Treasurer, and I was elected in 2018. It's been a tough but rewarding 4 years serving as your treasurer due to budget cuts and the 2 years of the pandemic. During my term, I've been accessible, engaged, and transparent with taxpayer money. I've been endorsed by groups such as the West Metro Fires Union Local 1309, the Jeffco Dams Latino Initiative. I'm also pleased to be endorsed by business owner Greg Stevenson of Denver West and Colorado Mills. I'd like to read 2 endorsements that really encapsulate what we've done the last 4 years as your treasurer. Here's the first one. I am pleased to endorse Jerry DiTullio for re-election as our Jefferson County Treasurer. Jerry is a true public servant who brings fiscal transparency to the Treasurer's office. Jerry is also prioritizing the needs of Jeffco taxpayers and our special districts. We need Jerry back in the Treasurer's office. Tracy Kraftstar, Jefferson County Commissioner. Thanks, Tracy. And the second one is, Jerry is an experienced and knowledgeable leader centered on serving others, maintaining transparency, and being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. His robust public outreach efforts ensure that accurate information is readily available. Having worked with Jerry on city and county issues, he consistently advocates for efficient and effective policies that are in the people's best interest and support good governance. Leah Dozman, Weaver City Council. Finally, I'm really proud of the work my staff and I did during the pandemic, working with our state legislature and our county commissioners to support taxpayers and our special districts by waiving late interest on property tax payments during the pandemic and also allowing multiple payments during the pandemic. For more information, please visit my website, jerryditullio.com. Thank you and have a good day.
This is on. Good morning, everyone. My name is Faye Griffin. I'm really proud to be here. I also want to thank you for inviting me. I also want to send my condolences regarding the tragedy that happened with Arvada police officers. You know, it hurts no matter if it's a friend, a neighbor, or whatever, it hurts us all. And this, anytime you have a police officer go down, it hurts everyone. Anyway, my career has been the county, the county, the county. You know, a lot of people go, well, why are you running for treasurer? I was asked by the Republican Party to run. I don't know why, except that I have a name recognition because I have always been honest. I've always been good. I've always been at work. I have no bad marks on my record. I also want to tell you that I love the county. I'm not a 5th generation like Don Rozier, but I am a 3rd generation. My family came from Central City and Blackhawk area. My mom's family came from Nebraska. I was born in Golden. I moved to Arvada when we were first married. I've been married to the same person for 63 years. So it was a high school recommendation thing or whatever. I had to wait for him to graduate because he's younger. So I'm an exciting person. You know, when they said something about, they're going to ask a question about something that excites you, and I think, you know, I'm really pretty boring because I love work, I love the county, I love my family, I am proud of all of these people, I am honest, I stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I get shivers when the national anthem plays. I am honest. This position, I've known Jerry and his wife for a number of years. They tell me they've got kids now. I have grandkids. I have great-grandkids. So there's many things about me I could talk about, but like Reggie said, there's not any time. Thank you again.
All right, so we have 45 seconds for each of these answers. Jerry, we'll begin with you. In your role as treasurer, how will you manage the budget concerns that the county is facing?
The county commissioners have the power of the purse. It's the treasurer's role to make sure the commissioners and the public, you, who I work for, have accurate revenue information to make budget decisions. The treasurer's office must accurately collect, disperse, manage, and invest property tax revenue every month.
Okay, Faye, in your role as treasurer, how will you manage the budget concerns the county is facing?
Well, I've worked on budgets for a number of years, and I've also been appreciative of the treasurer to bring the information to commissioners. Without that information, we can't make any good decisions. Again, because I am honest, I do understand the budget, the importance of keeping it square and making sure that we're able to keep good employees, because the treasurer's office is a small department. It's not easy to cut the budget in any way, but there are ways that maybe you don't need all those supplies that you keep getting for $100 and some thousand. But it is something that we need to look at always.
You'll have the first crack at this one. What role does transparency and public education play in the work you will do as treasurer?
It's my question. Okay. With the light, I can't see your eyes.
It's all right, but we're getting warmer by the second.
Don't start the time. We need to make sure that people understand what the treasurer's office does. And anytime when I was treasurer, I'd have people come in and ask me questions about their taxes and about how come that you can repossess their house. And I would explain how it goes when we have the tax sale and what happens with the tax sale. I've also explained to them the importance of knowing what you're purchasing, because just because it says there's a piece of land in Evergreen and it's only going for the taxes, better go make sure you know what you're looking at, because who needs to have a strip of 12 feet long, a mile wide, or 12 feet wide and a mile long that you own?
Unless you're opening the longest bowling alley on earth. I'm not interested. Jerry, what role does transparency and public education play in the work that you will do as treasurer?
Well, the treasurer is the county banker and supports other county departments and special districts. When I was elected in 2018, there was not a fluid financial reporting system in the treasurer's office. My staff and I have developed a plethora of monthly reports, such as the treasurer's budget, special district distribution report, quarterly investment report, and the general fund and revenue expense report by county department. All of these reports are monthly and can be found on the county treasurer website, and they're updated by our staff monthly. There's more transparency out in this department right now than there ever was before. Thank you.
All right, Jerry, how will you ensure timely collection of taxes and fees in Jefferson County?
State law requires a monthly distribution to special districts on the 10th of each month. To avoid a misstep in the collection and distribution of property taxes, I have implemented a cross-training across the entire department to ensure a timely collection and distribution of property tax to special districts. We cannot miss the deadline by state law. And that, my staff has been cross-trained. We have 2 or 3 people that could actually do the distribution monthly. When I got there, there was one person that could do it, and it was really more of a job security issue with that person. We've corrected that issue in 2022. Thank you.
All right, so Faye, how will you ensure that timely collection of taxes and fees occur in Jefferson County?
Again, we have deadlines that you have to meet by statute. And when I was treasurer, one of the things that I did was the school said, well, Faye, can we wait and get you that tax money on Monday instead of on Friday? And I would say, no, you get that tax on the date it's due, because we also like to have that interest at the bank.
Fire round questions. We will start with Faye here. The number one thing you hear when you talk to voters?
Of course, COVID and not being open on Friday.
Okay, We're gonna stick to 3 words. It's okay. I didn't preface that, my bad. Jerry, number 1 thing you hear.
Accessibility, engagement, and transparency.
Okay, we're struggling with the 3 words. Jerry, if you had a magic wand, what would you fix?
Homelessness.
Getting better. What would you fix, Faye?
The hours
At the county? Okay. Faye, your dream vacation location, and Cammie already took Hawaii, so.
well, I was thinking of this a lot, because would it be a realistic dream or one that probably is way out there? Because the way out there one is Dubai.
Okay, so Dubai it is. Dream vacation location, Jerry.
Greece.
All right, Jerry, the last book that you read.
Flight by Sherman Alexie.
All right, Faye, last book that you read.
Cross the Line by James Patterson.
Okay. And the most adventurous thing you have done, Faye?
The most adventurous thing, other than having to do this kind of thing, really is one time I was able to guide an airplane. Of course, the pilot was on that side, but when they always put us in the airplane, they always have me next to the pilot. I don't know if it's because of my weight or my height or what, but I was able to steer the airplane.
Okay. So the most adventurous thing you have ever done, Jerry?
Serving with Tracy Crafthorne. Thank you, everybody.
Jerry DiTullio, Faye Griffin, thank you both for running. We really appreciate your time this morning. All right, so now we are on to the Jefferson County Assessor, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If Scott Kurzgaard will make his way up to the stage.
Most adventurous thing I've done, have kids.
Ooh.
Dream vacation, Todd Helton, Cooperstown.
Well, he's not going to have these questions, so I can appreciate you taking the opportunity, Scott.
I haven't started yet.
Go ahead and start with book 2.
Cedric Breakfast Library.
Give me one of those.
Hello, is this working?
It is.
Okay. I ran 4 years ago as a change agent. Where does that leave me now? Still asking for change? What have I done in 4 years? When I got there, 5% of people, more than 5%, appealed their values every year. It's down to 3%. When I got there, the website was one of the worst in the state for an assessor's office. Now it's among the best, which is partly how appeals have gone down. You can go online and see information about how we value your property. And you can file your appeal right there if we got it wrong. We've invested heavily in technology, training, giving people raises. We've got new software coming online that has artificial intelligence to help us sort documents. In spite of those improvements, we are spending less money to run the office than my predecessor spent 4, 5, 6 years ago. And those are all great things. But the real thing is office culture. I've tried to institute a culture, and you can't institute a culture. Cultures grow with time, they grow organically. But I've tried to introduce a culture of excellence and accountability and openness. One of my predecessors was famous for having his door closed all day long, every day. If people went to him with questions, suggestions, his answer was, get back to work or you're fired. I can replace you with a monkey. I have been told that I'm the first assessor to have conversations with staff, to walk around and say, hi, what are you doing? Thank you. Culture is a hard thing to change, but we're changing it. We're getting there. And 4 more years, it'll get better. And 4 more years, we'll have even better software, better technology, better data analytics, and we will keep spending less money. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it. That is a wrap on county races. We'll move on to state-level races and begin with House District 24. We'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds for opening remarks from both Lindsay Doherty and Bill Patterson. Lindsay wins the alphabet race, so you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Great, thank you so much. I am Lindsay Doherty. I am the current representative for House District 29, but I am running for re-election for House District 24 due to redistricting. I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. When I first ran, it was during the pandemic, so I never saw a human being, just humans through a computer screen. So it's wonderful to be here in person. A little about me. I grew up in Colorado. I went out of state for undergrad to play soccer, back to Colorado for law school, where I graduated in 2012 from the University of Denver. I was fortunate to have internships throughout that time in the House, the Senate, and the White House in Washington, D.C. When I was in Washington, D.C. as a law clerk for the White House, I worked for the Domestic Policy Council, mostly in the area of higher education, and it was a fantastic experience. Would love to talk to anyone about that. Since that time, I opened up my own law firm in 2012, pretty much straight out of graduation. Unfortunately, there were not a lot of jobs in 2012, especially law jobs, so I decided to make my own. And it turned out pretty well for me. I love what I was doing, and I still love representing families and children in the courtroom. As a small business owner, I understand the unique challenges that businesses go through and have gone through, especially the last 2 years during the pandemic. I am very grateful to be the candidate in this race that was endorsed by the Colorado Chamber of Commerce. And I think that's because at the Capitol, I have a track record of showing that I'm there to prop up business owners' voices and give them a voice at the table. And I also have the unique perspective of being a business owner myself. Another issue that I really am passionate about at the Capitol is juveniles and how we are able to get juveniles out of the cycle of poverty, out of that cycle of abuse, and turn them into productive citizens of society. I specifically do guardian ad litem work, so I represent abused and neglected children when they're taken out of their homes. And I have seen, if you give these kids the right resources at the right time, what exactly they can become. It's been my honor and my privilege to represent my community the last 2 years. I would love your support the next 2 years to work as hard as I possibly can at the Capitol for you. You can find more information at www.lindsayforcolorado.com. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Bill Patterson will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds for opening remarks. Go ahead, Bill.
Hello, my name is Bill Patterson. I think most important to know about me is I'm fundamentally an engineer and a businessman. My background in education, BS and MS in chemical engineering, MBA, PhD in business. So my background is all about business. The last thing I ever thought I was going to do was be running for office. So it's been a new one for me. I have a lot of international experience. I've been working abroad on and off for 20 plus years. I've worked in over 20 countries. So I have a lot of broad experience and a lot of life experience. I've also worked from a wide range of company sizes. So I work with some of the largest corporates in the world, and I work with smart startups, and including 4 of my own startups, so I know what it is to run a whole business by yourself. So I know what a one-man band looks like. Having worked in large corporates, and if any of you have ever worked in it, you also know that they are some of the most vicious political environments you will ever see, and they will give a run for their money at the state capitol. So I'm quite well aware to be in a tough political environment. So I'm also quite experienced in managing a broad range of different management levels. So I've worked with international corporate level, C-level people to my current employees, all entry-level people. So I know how to work with a whole bunch of different levels of companies. And I'm mostly seek for optimized solutions. I'm not looking for a win-lose solution. I'm looking for the best solution for both the company, for the population, for the community. I'm always looking for optimized solutions. I'm not a big win-lose person. But that leads me to the reason I'm running. So I'm running primarily due to the lack of respect and appreciation by governor and state legislature for small business. During the pandemic, 40% of small businesses closed and were shuttered permanently, and the state legislature and the governor gave no respect to us. So I'm running to be the voice of small business, real small business, not a one-person band, but small business, because I do not think that voice is in our legislature at all. So, thank you.
All right, 45 seconds for these questions. Lindsay, we'll begin with you. And the first question is, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we quickly recognized the fragility of the state's unemployment insurance fund. How can we ensure this does not happen again and maintain awareness about the impact it has on our business and the economy?
Great, thank you. So I think that it's important to recognize that this has been a problem before the pandemic. And once we got to the pandemic, we realized just how big of a problem it was. This is something that has needed attention for a very long time. I was fortunate, to work on this and engage business owners at the Capitol. And I think that going forward, this is a structural problem where we really, really need to sit down, have a concrete plan, make sure we've got business owners at the table to sort this out. Because we know that it was a very difficult situation during the pandemic. If something were to happen again, we want to make sure that employees and employers are covered.
Same question for you, Bill. Do you need it repeated or? Okay,
so
really long.
Totally. So I totally agree with Lindsay. As an employer, the system was absolutely a wreck before it ever began. As an employer, you couldn't, even on the website, when you tried to register a new employee, it didn't register. Yeah, I had to do it 2 and 3 and 4 times, and I was never secure that it actually registered. So the infrastructure was not in place. It was not fit for purpose infrastructure before we ever began this thing. So that was a mess. The other thing was a mess, because I got hit with this 10 times. The fake applications, the ease at which the complete non-vetting of people to apply for unemployment insurance. All you have to do is go to the website and you apply, and now I have to deal with that. And I had to deal with, so I'm trying to keep my business open, because I've got my small business here based in Colorado. I try and keep it open. At the same time, I'm trying to manage 10s and 20 of different people applying. So I agree with her completely.
Okay. You'll have the first crack at this one. What role should the state play in ensuring that we have income-aligned housing options available for our residents?
So I don't think that the government has a role in this. I think that the state has a role in providing it's actually, I think, quite simple, a role in providing a positive business environment that creates well-paying jobs. I think the government has a role in providing low cost to get a house or apartment building in the ground. And I think the government has a role in providing well-educated people who can take well-paying jobs. I don't see us doing I see us failing in all 3 of those.
Same question for you. What do you have, Lindsay, for the role that the state should play in ensuring that we have income-aligned housing?
As someone that's grown up here, I have seen just how unattainable housing has become. It's almost impossible to go from renting to a starter home and build equity to another home. And that's really unfortunate. And I think where we can work in this area is to increase housing units like condos, eliminating red tape so that we can build more supply. We know we need more supply here. Another really important thing that I've heard from business owners that is very important to them is providing incentive for workforce housing. That only benefits employers and employees.
Okay, Lindsay, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the state?
The biggest challenge that I've heard on the doors in the last 2 years is affordability. We were just talking about housing, healthcare costs, grocery store, gas prices. Those are all things that people are struggling with. At the Capitol, we've done everything we possibly can to provide relief in each one of these categories. But we need to keep trying, and we need to keep bringing in folks to enact common sense solution to this. Because as someone who grew up here, I want families to be successful and to be somewhere where they can afford to live.
Bill, same question to you. Biggest challenge facing the state right now?
For me, what I hear is crime. Crime is the number one. It's just a few statistics. Since 2019, a 6.5 increase in violent crimes, 10% increase in property crimes, 18% increase in aggravated assault. Sorry. Thank you, lawyer.
You said aggregating things.
29% increase in homicides, 38% increase in motor thefts, 51% increase in Denver metro homicides. These are affecting the poorest people in the worst in the communities. So I absolutely feel that, especially in the eastern part of Arvada, this really hurts them.
All right, we're going to go into fire round. 3-word answers. Bill, you'll go first. The number one thing you hear when talking to voters.
We need change.
The economy.
Okay. You'll have the first crack at this one. If you had a magic wand, what would you fix?
Eliminating forest fires in Colorado.
I know this is really pathetic, but staycation, Arvada, Colorado.
Okay, what would you fix though if you had a magic wand?
Oh, sorry.
The staycation in Colorado, I don't think is the one.
Yeah, supporting the police.
Supporting the police. Okay, so since we know staycation in Colorado, let's head back over to Lindsay for your dream vacation.
Australia.
All right. Last book you read, Lindsay?
John Grisham's newest.
Yeah, a lot of them, right? Last book you read, though?
The Servant Leader by Ken Blanchard.
Okay. And Bill, what's the most adventurous thing you have ever done?
South African safari chased by elephants.
Okay, that's the most frightening thing. The most adventurous thing you have ever done, Lindsay?
Full Ironman in Zurich, Switzerland.
All right. We want to thank both of them for their candidacy. Running is not easy. Thank you so much, Bill and Lindsay, for putting your name out there running for House District 24. All right, up next is House District 27, and we will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds for opening remarks. On the ballot that you will see, if you haven't received it already, should be in your mailbox today or over the weekend, Lynn Emmerich and Brianna Titone. Lynn Emmerich will lead us off with 2 minutes and 30 seconds of opening remarks. Good morning.
Hi everyone, I'm Lynn Emmerich. I'm running to be the next state representative in HD 27. I decided to run because my quality of life over the last 4 years has not improved. Our neighborhoods are unsafe. It is extremely expensive to live here, and our education system is failing our students. I'm a mom of 3 little kiddos. I'm a wife. Actually, our anniversary is on election day, so that's super romantic. And I'm an ultrasound tech. I've lived in Colorado for about 20 years. I'm involved in multiple nonprofits, and I help out at my children's school, and so I'm a community member. When I am out meeting voters, I'm hearing from them that families are really hurting, and they are scared, and parents are upset that they're getting removed from their child's education, and that food and gas and housing is expensive. And that is all based on legislation that has been passed over the last several years. So that is why I'm running. I'm fired up, and I am ready to bring, I'm not a politician. I'm, just someone that decided to step up to bring some new ideas to the Capitol.
Thank you, Lynn. Brianna, 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brianna Titone. I'm the current House Representative in District 27, and I'm running for my 3rd term to represent House District 27 again, even though the borders have changed. I got into running for office because of a long history of service to my community. I started out as a volunteer firefighter when I was 16 years old in my hometown in New York. And I found roles of volunteering in my community, being there to support the community everywhere that I've been. And I was the HOA president, and I know that that might be even more bold than even being a state rep because of the issues that HOAs typically have. But I stepped up in that role, and I also volunteer with a group of scientists and specialists to help law enforcement solve crimes and find clandestine graves for police. I've always done this kind of role in my community. This is nothing new for me, and this role as a state representative, it gives me the opportunity to support my community and do the work of the people who need me the most. Since I've been elected, I've passed 52 bills into law on a variety of different topics. I ran the first nationwide right to repair bill for wheelchairs, giving people who have motorized wheelchairs the ability to fix their wheelchairs instead of waiting months to get their wheelchairs fixed. Worked on several different bills on broadband to connect people to high-speed internet across the state. And I have been working on crime prevention. This last year, I did a bill to help protect people who are involved in sex work which was 100% of the vote. Everyone voted for this because it's about putting the violent criminals who are preying on these people in jail and not the people doing this sex work. And I also did another bill from the community on rental property theft, making sure that if rental property is stolen, that there's actual crime that actually goes with that. I worked a lot on mental health. Mental health is a really important issue across the state of Colorado. I've run several different bills on that to bolster how we get mental health out to people. The first in the nation bill to say that mental health wellness exams should be included in your insurance and be free of charge. And many states are starting to also do this and provide these mental health wellness exams to people all across the country. I thank you very much for your opportunity today, and I hope you will support me in my third term for re-election. Thank you.
All right, 2 minutes and 30 seconds for those, 45 seconds for each of these answers. Lynn, we'll begin with you. What action do you believe should be taken to improve public safety across the state?
Well, I think we need to start supporting our police officers and quit handcuffing them to not be able to do their job. So by repealing SB 2217 and hiring more police officers, putting criminals behind bars, and not letting our jails be revolving doors.
Same question for you, Brianna. Action you believe should be taken to improve public safety?
Yeah, well, a lot of people probably don't know this. I wanted a career in law enforcement before I got into public office. But when it comes to public safety, an intersectional approach really needs to be had. It's not just hammering the nail with law enforcement. It's about solving the underlying issues that lead people to crime, being drugs, homelessness, and a lot of the other mental health issues that lead to crime in general. So if we can get a handle on those issues, we can actually get a lot of the crime prevention happening, and then the law enforcement can have an easier time to do the work.
We have a lot of business leaders in the audience today. If elected, how will you increase opportunities for our business community to be at the table as decisions that impact them are being made?
I have an open door policy as a legislator. I do 2 town halls. I do 2 public events to give people an opportunity to come visit and talk to me about issues. You have an issue, you send me an email. You have an idea for a bill, we work on that. We worked on that rental property theft bill from someone in the chamber. I ran a bill on the rules portal for businesses to know when the rules change on their businesses. These are ideas that came from the community that we've enacted and put into place. And I welcome any opportunity from anyone to actually come and talk to me about the issues that they're seeing and they're experiencing, so we can actually come up with plans on how to better address those issues.
All right, same question to you, Lynn. How will you increase opportunities for our business community to be at the table?
Yeah, when elected, I would engaging the community and small businesses would be my #1 priority, because I would be working for you and working for the community and changing how legislation is passed to best improve our lives as families, as community members, and as small businesses.
You'll have the first crack at this final 45-second answer. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the state?
The biggest challenge I believe right now is, well, besides our outrageous crime and the inflation in Colorado, it would be our education system. It is failing students. Right now, 60% of kids can't read and do math at grade level. We had test scores at 40% low, in 40-year low. And so right now, our schools, our good teachers are not being supported. Parents are being removed from the classroom, and our kids need choice, and they need to be not subjected to their zip code, or that they need to be able to choose where they need to go, so they're not stuck in failing schools.
All right, what is the biggest challenge facing the state right now, Brianna?
Well, I think it's really affordable housing and the access to housing. I mean, I go knock on doors, I see a lot of young people living with their parents, and they're not even that young anymore. We're talking 20s and 30s. They're still living at home because they don't have a place to live. They want to find a place, and they just can't. There's a ballot initiative going on right now to try to create more resources for affordable housing. But when we're talking about affordable housing, we need to also think about preservation of existing housing. If we build more affordable housing, but we lose housing that's available already. And there's some communities here in Arvada that are townhomes that are really losing the battle on the maintenance. They're very behind. And if they get condemned and they won't have any more housing, we have negative housing, positive housing, it's a net zero. We need to work on preservation.
Fire round questions here. 3 words, please. Brianna, the number one thing you hear when you're talking to voters?
The economy.
Okay. Lynn?
Crime.
You left 2 words on the table each. That's rare. If you had a magic wand, Lynn, what would you fix?
The education system.
Brianna?
Drug addiction.
Okay. Brianna first, the dream vacation location.
New Zealand.
Okay. Lynn?
The Greek islands.
Last book you read, Lynn?
The Battle for the American Mind.
Okay. Brianna, last book that you read?
It's called Trauma Stewardship.
Okay. The most adventurous thing, Brianna, that you have ever done?
Rock climbing, half dome.
Yeah. Okay. Most adventurous thing you've ever done, Lynn?
Backpacked Asia for 3 months.
Wow, great answers there. We want to thank both of you for all of the answers today and for running for House District 27. Let's give them a round of applause. Lynn and Brianna, please thank you. On to Senate District 20 now. We'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds for opening remarks for the candidates in this race. Lisa Cutter and Tim Walsh will come to the stage. And ballots should be in mailboxes. Show of hands, who got a ballot already? Yeah, okay, got mine yesterday. And one of the best things about Colorado, and there is a long list there, is that we can all fire up the Google machine on a Saturday morning as I trip over my stool and learn about all these candidates and all these state issues. It's really difficult if you've lived in a different state before and walk in there and you've got to process all those things. So it is great that we live here and we can do this. Lisa will lead things off, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Please, the podium is yours.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the Arvada Chamber for having us here today, and thanks to all of you for coming out so early to hear everyone speak. Who knew the sunrise was really so beautiful? Maybe I try that again. My name is Lisa Cutter, and I've lived nearly all my life right here in Jeffco. In fact, really close to here. It's kind of cool to be back. Go Panthers. Any Panthers out there? Before running for public office, I spent 25 years in public relations and communications, working with businesses and nonprofits and everything from healthcare to manufacturing to banking, and I volunteered a lot in my community. I love Jeffco and I love Colorado. I'm running for Colorado Senate because I believe deeply in continuing my service to community and working hard to make life better for all Coloradans. During my 4 years in the State House, we've enacted sensible gun violence prevention measures, lowered healthcare costs, directed millions of dollars to wildfire mitigation and prevention, addressed our transportation and infrastructure issues, supported small businesses with loan programs, reduced fees, and more. I'm particularly proud of the work I've done to make mental health care more accessible, eliminate toxic chemicals that impact our water supply, create new funding streams for wildfire mitigation, protect people from frivolous lawsuits related to free speech issues, and taking steps to create a circular economy right here in Colorado. This year, I hope to pass a bill to address deceptive practices that take advantage of small business owners. Voters in Jeffco are done with the extreme policies of Washington, D.C. Questioning the integrity of our Gold Star elections, vilifying people who disagree, and comparing reproductive health to state-sanctioned murder are distractions from the very real issues facing small business owners and middle-class families. That's why I've worked hard to create bipartisan legislation to tackle real problems. Businesses come to our state to enjoy the Colorado way of life, which includes our beautiful environment and recreation opportunities, strong public schools, and a flourishing economy, and the expectation that they'll be able to raise their families without fear of government interference in their personal lives. We're practical people here in Colorado. Divisive and extreme DC policies have no place. I'd be very grateful for your support. You can check out my policies and my record at cutterforcolorado.com.
Thank you, Lisa. Tim, 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Arvada, and thank you for having us here today. This is one of the few opportunities we do have to speak publicly together. So I'm Tim Walsh. I'm running for Senate District 20. I'm a West Point grad, combat vet, entrepreneur, and small business owner. My wife and I moved to Colorado 25 years ago. Shortly before that, I was deployed to the first Gulf War and was one of the very first deployed over there. I commanded a company of 140 paratroopers and brought them all home safely. When we got to Colorado, we knew we found home. We raised our family here. My son is going to actually be calling Arvada home here in about 3 weeks, which we're very excited about. And 15 years ago, actually it was 16 years ago, almost exactly, my wife and I started a small business in our basement. We cleared out our life savings and started a company called Confluence Builders to build mostly urban infill, mixed-use developments. And little did we know, the Great Recession hit in 2007. We struggled like a lot of small business owners, but doing the right thing, building one project at a time, and caring for our residents and our community, we built a very successful company. I've been on the board of the Economic Development Council for Jeffco for the last 5 years, and I started paying attention to a lot of the legislation that's passed by one party in control at the state capitol. And there is a direct correlation between the rise in crime, the lawlessness, the homelessness, and the drug addiction that is causing the homelessness. And that is permissive laws that have been passed. While they may be well-intended, the consequences have been horrific for small businesses. I was talking to the Ace Hardware store owner in Lakewood the other day, and he said 10 times a day shoplifting is happening there. They're stealing cordless power tools and walking out of the store. That's just unacceptable. Am I done? Oh, 30 seconds. So anyways, in February, I decided to step up and run to bring some balance back to the state capitol, bring common sense solutions, and really make sure that we're representing all of Colorado and not the extremes of both parties. And when we have one party in control, that party tends to drift more to the left and not address really real-world solutions that will help provide affordable housing here and make Colorado a great place for future generations to live. Thank you.
Thank you much for the opening remarks. Lisa, you'll have first crack at this question. Businesses continue to struggle with recruiting and retaining the quality talent base they need for their businesses and our economy to thrive. What role should the legislature play in ensuring that we overcome these workforce challenges?
Well, this is clearly a problem, not only for businesses in Colorado, but our schools and healthcare sectors as well. Providing a welcoming environment on every level is what attracts people to Colorado. For example, after passing a really extreme bathroom bill in 2016, North Carolina reported more than $600 million in lost revenue. Think about good things that we could do with that money in our communities. Ensuring that we have clean air and water, well-funded public schools, protecting people from government interference in personal decisions, providing livable wages, affordable housing opportunities. These are the things that will drive recruitment and retention. I'm proud to have passed a $72 million behavioral health workforce bill last year, and we'll plan to sponsor a wildfire workforce bill next session.
Tim, same question to you. What role should the legislature play ensuring we overcome workforce challenges?
Well, it's clear, no matter what business you own right now, that we have a lack of skilled and willing workforce. So here's an idea. Why don't we start rewarding work instead of punishing it? You know, some of the bills that have been passed recently are making it harder for employees to live here because of affordability issues, like the lack of affordable housing. But what did we do during the pandemic? We built 91 affordable housing units in Denver, and we just completed 165 affordable housing units in Golden with no government subsidies. The second thing is we need a better education system. Our education system is just failing to produce quality individuals that are prepared for the workforce here in Colorado. I'm hearing that. I've knocked on about 7,500 doors so far, and it's coming up more and more that kids have fallen behind, and I'm worried that they're not going to be able to enter the workforce.
All right, Tim, you'll have the first shot at this one. Businesses are often impacted by new bills that pass at the state level that are difficult to navigate and have financial implications. How will you ensure that small businesses are protected as these decisions are being made?
Yeah, I mean, that is a great issue and exactly why I'm running. I mean, I can point to House Bill 1362, which was passed within this last legislative cycle, that's really going to require the beneficial electrification of all new buildings and homes here in Colorado, which will drive up the cost $40,000 to $60,000. I mean, that is not how you tackle an affordable housing problem. Another one, my dentist was just telling me this week that her question to me was, why are small businesses being crushed by this excessive legislation? Every time legislation is passed, you're taking away freedoms from that small business to prosper and excel. So I would say we need to cut regulations on small businesses. My time's up. I would keep going on. There's a long, long list, believe me.
I'm sure there's a website where we can track that down. How will you ensure that small businesses are protected, Lisa, as these decisions are being made?
Thank you. Well, I've been a small business owner for nearly 25 years, so protecting them from bureaucracy and red tape is really always top of my mind as a legislator. For example, when I was negotiating my recycling bill last year, which relies heavily on partnership with businesses, I worked really closely with small businesses and special sectors to make sure that they were exempt from that. And I also worked with businesses throughout the pandemic to minimize losses where possible, help them navigate all of the things they needed to do, and help them find ways to succeed. And I passed a bill recently reducing many fees and some red tape for businesses. I know every little bit counts. I'm proud to have received an award last night from Good Business Colorado for listening to them when crafting legislation, paying attention to what they need. And I know that more than 99% of business in Colorado are considered small business, so that's really important.
All right, we're into the final 45-second answer here. Lisa, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the state?
Well, we can solve, I really believe in Coloradans, and I believe that we can solve any problem when we are working together. The biggest challenge then that we're facing is extremism. Rather than focusing on the real issues being faced by the middle-class families, we're fighting over a person's right to make health care decisions about their own body and arguing about the legitimacy of an election that has been proven reliable. I'm really proud to be the only candidate in this race who wholeheartedly supports our Gold Star election system, and the only candidate in this race who supports, without question, a person's right to make medical decisions about their own body. Developers are driving up the cost of housing in Jeffco and pushing out small businesses. Wildfires have spread to our suburbs, and schools are underfunded. We need to be focused on these real issues.
All right, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the state then?
You know, from knocking on doors, just talking to a lot of great Coloradans, I do agree with Representative Cutter. I mean, we do need to get back to the middle and cut out the extremism. 80% of people here in Colorado are right in the middle. We just need people to represent them that'll represent all of Colorado and not just one particular party. And I would like to see us get serious and be honest about our failing education system, be serious and recognize our out-of-control lawlessness, crime, and homelessness, and get serious about that. And also start being serious about the fentanyl poisoning that is killing our teens here in Colorado.
All right, Tim, you'll have the first shot at the fire round questions. 3 words, please. The number one thing that you hear when you talk to voters?
It depends what neighborhood I'm knocking on. The number one thing in a less affluent is crime and cost of living.
All right, Lisa?
Cost of living.
Okay, so Lisa, if you had a magic wand, what would you fix?
Money in politics.
If you had a magic wand, Tim, what would you fix?
Homelessness and drug addiction.
Okay. Tim, your dream vacation spot?
I've been to a lot of places, but I haven't been to Peru.
Peru. Okay, that's a new one. Dream vacation, Lisa?
Right now, anywhere with my family.
Sounds good, right? Especially after a long campaign. Lisa, last book that you read?
Wrong place, wrong time.
All right, Tim, last book?
Well, I normally read about 3 books at once. I just finished Michael Crichton, Dragon Teeth. Fascinating book. It was published after he died. Politics industry is really enlightening as a first-time person running for office. And then Agency by Ian Rowe, which is a great book. He started with charter schools in the Bronx.
Great. Okay, so the most adventurous thing that you have ever done, I think we heard that in your opening remarks most likely, but maybe aside from your military service.
Hang gliding off a 3,000-foot cliff in Brazil.
That qualifies as well. Lisa, most adventurous thing you have ever done?
A really wicked climbing wall.
We want to thank both of you for your service to your community and the country as well, and for putting your name out there on the ballot for folks to evaluate. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We are on to Congressional District 7. Again, the same format will apply. 2 minutes and 30 seconds for remarks. Eric Adland and Brittany Pedersen are here to open things up. Eric will have the podium first for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Microphone should be on the stools for you. Eric, you'll lead us off. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Odland, proud to be running as your Republican nominee for Congressional District 7. It's Odland with 2 A's. It's an odd name, just that's how you remember how to pronounce it. I live in Jefferson County. I'm in Pine, a rural area near Bailey. I'm a husband and a father. I have 3 beautiful children, 8, 5, and 1, a wife of over 16 years. I'm also a West Point graduate. As an Army officer, I did 2 tours of combat, Iraq and Afghanistan, earning 2 Bronze Stars, 1 for valor, which just says I've seen enough of war. After the Army, I spent a decade in the energy sector all over the world, finished managing a $300 million project in Israel where I built a pipeline as part of a $5 billion project that made Israel a net exporter of natural gas, made them energy independent. I left my company because I wanted to follow a path of more service. I was pursuing a PhD in depth psychology, working to become a counselor to treat veterans and trauma victims. And folks, we're a society that's been traumatized. But in the midst of my studies for this PhD, I recognized the hatred, the division, the polarization in our society, and the peril we're in as a nation. Folks, I never envisioned to run for office, never aspired to be a politician, didn't want to be in this arena. I was pursuing a life of peace in the mountains of Pine, wanting to raise my family, when I was called to action. If you look around, everything's going wrong. Colorado is leading the nation in inflation, approaching 16%. We have a crime wave. Crime is up 30%. We've got a fentanyl overdose epidemic. We're leading the nation in auto theft. We're leading the nation in bank robberies. We're the cocaine capital of the country. But most concerning is the fact that as Coloradans and as Americans, we can't seem to come together on these core issues and solve them. We now have a representation in Washington, D.C. that has lost touch with us and no longer represents us. So I am running to restore power back to the people, but also to be a unifier and a healer, not a divider. I want to come together to solve these pressing crises because I love my children and I want them to have the opportunities that I had as a young man. And we have a beautiful state, and I love this state. I love this country. And this is a call of duty for me. So thankful to be here in front of you. Eric Odland, running to be your next representative. Hope you have a good morning.
Thank you, Eric. Brittany, you'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Great. Good morning, everybody. My name is Brittany Pedersen. I'm currently the state senator representing part of Jefferson County, and I am highly unlikely to be here as the Democratic nominee for Congress. But this community gave me a chance to build a better life. I grew up in South Jefferson County. I faced a lot of obstacles at home. I was a high-risk youth, but I had access to amazing public schools and teachers that believed in me. And because of these community investments, I was able to become the first in my family to graduate from both high school and college, and I went a much different path than I was likely to go. So coming out of college, I started working for candidates and issues in organizations that I believed in, because I know that the people who are elected make or break it for regular people like me. I ended up stepping up to run in one of the most competitive races in 2012 for the State House to fight for the community and the investments that gave me a chance to make sure that other families have that same opportunity. I'm very proud of the work that I've been able to do over the last decade. I prioritize increasing access for
increasing access for substance use disorder treatment and recovery services, taking my experience, fighting to save my mom's life in a decimated system, seeing that there were no options for her in Colorado. This was always last on the chopping block, or first on the chopping block, last of priorities here in Colorado for increasing access to substance use disorder and recovery services because of the stigma that exists around people struggling with addiction. So I've taken those personal experiences and I've led the nation on investments here. I've also prioritized investing in our public schools. We know though that in Colorado, unfortunately, while we are the most well-educated workforce in the country, we unfortunately don't have the same statistics for people growing up here in Colorado because we have failed constitutional amendments that have limited our ability to invest in our public schools. But in the legislature, we were able to bring people together to reduce costs of insurance, making sure that we actually increase access to early childhood education and level the playing field for regular people. I'm running for office because I have a 2.5-year-old son. What we do in this moment is going to determine the future of this country, the opportunities that he has. The stakes couldn't be higher in this election, and I hope to earn your support.
All right, Eric, we're going to start with you. 45 seconds for each answer here. In a recent survey of nearly 150 local businesses, inflation, not surprisingly, was the #1 concern. If elected to Congress, how would you navigate the need to address this quickly while maintaining the integrity of the economy?
Well, Colorado's leading the nation in inflation, and it's hurting Coloradans. It's making it harder to survive. And it's got to be addressed by reining in government spending. That's the #1 contributing factor. So we need to make sure that essential services like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid are well-funded, essential infrastructure. But we've got to right-size the government so that we provide high-quality services. We serve the American people and Coloradans. But inflation is all about inflating the money supply. When the government spends outside its cash flow, it creates a deficit that must be supplemented by printing money. And so that grows the money supply, and that is a hidden tax on the American people, especially on hardworking families. So we've got to stop reckless and abusive spending first and foremost.
Brittany, to you, if elected, how would you navigate the need to address inflation quickly while maintaining the integrity of the economy?
Families are hurting here in Colorado, across the nation, and globally. We are facing an economic fallout from a global pandemic, a once-in-a-century, hopefully, experience. I support making sure that we address the supply chain issues that were highlighted during the pandemic, the reliance on other countries for goods and services, making sure that we bring jobs right back here to Colorado and the United States. But in terms of addressing, right now the economy expanded and we have a huge market that is unfilled for workers. So we have to come together to create common sense immigration reform to make sure that we can actually fill these gaps, that people who are willing to work are able to do these jobs. I have businesses begging for assistance here. A lot of other ideas on reducing costs, but we are out of time.
All right, well, you'll have the lead-off spot for the second question. Over the past few years, we saw our international supply chain tested. How can we ensure that we have a strong and effective supply chain moving forward?
What we saw during the pandemic, this really shined a light on a lot of vulnerabilities in our economy and our systems here, including our supply chain and reliance on other countries to make these goods. So I think that the CHIPS Act is a very important first step in bringing jobs back here to the United States and manufacturing, making sure that we are the ones that are producing these critical goods. That is absolutely essential. Unfortunately, this is something that we should all be able to come together on and solve and invest here, as well as the Inflation Reduction Act, which builds in long-term solutions for our energy needs.
All right, Eric, how can we ensure that we have a strong and effective supply chain?
So this is an area of expertise for me. I manage the global supply chain as Global Logistics Manager for Noble Energy. We've got to shorten these supply chains by bringing jobs back here to the United States, by reinstilling manufacturing capacity back here in this country. We're heavily dependent on countries that are hostile to us, like China. The supply chains are far too long. We saw the strain during the pandemic, and to fix it, we've got to re-energize our economy, rein in government spending, restore sound energy policy, and kickstart our economy, not by driving up taxes, but by lowering taxes, especially corporate tax rates, which are some of the highest in the world. We've got to incentivize manufacturing here in the United States. We can do that by kickstarting this economy, especially here in Colorado. We've got vast natural resources and capacity here that we just have to get behind and move forward.
All right, Eric, healthcare costs for businesses expected to rise another 6%, sounds like minimum this year. What action are you going to take to manage the increasing costs associated with healthcare?
Well, this is a significant challenge, especially here in Colorado. We're also leading the nation in healthcare costs in many respects. We've got to address it by smart deregulation. See, there's a significant amount of government interference in insurance companies, which reduces competition and drives prices through the roof. We need transparency of pricing, not just for pharmaceuticals, but for every facet of the healthcare system, so people can see where their money is spent and where they can make smart choices in a way that fits their family or their personal needs. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but that's what the government interference has tried to accomplish, is single-payer healthcare, which reduces competition in the marketplace and drives skyrocketing costs. So it's finding the balance between government and the private marketplace to provide high-quality services.
Brittany, same to you. What action will you take to manage the increasing costs associated with healthcare?
What's happening across this country and the globe are workforce shortages, and so we have to work together. We brought a bill in the legislature to incentivize people to help support our healthcare workers, for loan forgiveness programs, to have people go into the areas of critical need in our state. But we still have to do more. We also brought together, for the 30% of plans that are overseen here in Colorado, we were able to reduce costs through the reinsurance program by 20%. And actually, in rural parts of this district, the costs were reduced by 40%. So we really need to take those Colorado experiences to Washington to make sure that we can reduce costs, including capping the price of insulin, making sure that we can negotiate for all of our prescription drugs to bring down those costs, especially for our seniors.
All right, those are the long-winded answers. Now we're down to 3-word answers. And Brittany, we'll start with you. The number one thing you hear when you're talking to voters?
Affordability and insecurity about the future.
Okay, Eric?
Inflation and affordability here in Colorado.
Great. So Eric, if you had a magic wand, how would you wave it? What would you fix?
I would fix the divisiveness dividing Americans and Coloradans.
Brittany?
I was going to say that, so I'll say something different. Because if we all work together, we can actually solve the urgent needs of our country. And climate change is one that we really need to work together on.
Dream vacation location. Brittany?
One of my favorite places is Costa Rica.
Okay. Eric?
Pina colada, anywhere tropical.
Eric, the last book that you read?
A Conflict of Visions by Thomas Sowell.
Okay. And the last book that you read, Brittany?
Let There Be Water.
Great. And Brittany, the most adventurous thing you have ever done?
I was going to say skydiving, but definitely being a mom.
Eric?
Most adventurous thing you've ever done?
My wife and I went into the jungles of Peru before kids and did plant medicine ceremonies with an indigenous shaman.
Top that. I want to thank Eric and Brittany for their ongoing service to our community and our country, and for joining us here this morning to answer questions for the folks here in Arvada. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, now that we're in a mood to applaud, let's thank all of the candidates in the room today. We certainly recognize the commitment that you have made running for office. It takes a lot, and we are certainly grateful. We hope you're all ready to vote. We saw a strong show of hands for the number of ballots that have arrived in the mail. We look forward to seeing everyone next month for the Arvada Chamber's annual Mayor Roundtable discussion. With that, we have concluded this morning's forum. Have a great weekend here in Colorado, where it's going to be 80 degrees tomorrow.